Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Michael. I'm going to be your host for this afternoon session. Today we're looking at deleting records, part of our series of almost like having a spring clean in your data. So we're looking at sort of after you've run your end, how you go about removing old information that you don't need. So this session today is looking at deleting records, and specifically we're looking at stock transactions and product records. So two options that almost like go hand in hand. Now, before we get started with the webinar today, we'll quickly run through just a little bit of housekeeping for you. So as normal, you don't need a microphone for these sessions. If you've got one, it will be muted automatically. Any questions you have, that means you will need to pop them into the questions panel. To access that, just click the little speech bubble icon. It'll expand. You'll be able to type in that box at the bottom. Once you've entered your comment or your question, remember to click send, otherwise we don't see those. There is a copy of today's slides available to download via the handout icon. There's the standard full color version, and also there'll be the print-friendly version with the color stripped out. So if you do like to print them out and make your own notes, that's the version to go for. Now, as normal, this session is being recorded. A link to the recording will be included on your follow-up email, along with a link to our webinar registration page, and also a link to our recordings page. So watch out for that. You'll get that email round about an hour after we finish. Let's have a look at what we're covering today then. So first of all, a little bit of background. Why would you clear stock transactions and delete records? Pros and cons. Manually deleting records. What does the process look like? How you can clear your stock transactions. So there's a little wizard for that one. And if you ever cleared the audit trail, it's a similar wizard, but for stock transactions as opposed to your normal finance transactions. We'll be looking at deleting stock records. Again, you can do that manually, or you can use the wizard. Obviously, the wizard complements the wizard that's available for clearing stock transactions. We'll cover why you can't delete a record. So the reasons that pop up when you try to delete a record, it'll give you a whole host of reasons. So we'll be covering that, explain what each of those messages actually means. And then we're going to look at alternatives to deleting records as well. So if maybe you we'll run through this session today and you think, that's not for me, I don't want to do that. But how can you make things better for yourself? Well, we're going to look at those alternatives. And then just right at the end, we'll explain more about the additional support that's available for you. And if there are any outstanding questions, we don't normally get many on this particular session, but if there are any, we will run through them and try and pick up as many as we can. If you think of anything at all, though, do get that submitted. So let's start with a little bit of background first of all. And the first thing to mention about clearing or deleting records is that it is an optional task. It's not something that you have to do. So we used to run these sessions and not mention it's an optional task. People think, oh, I've got to do it. You don't. It's optional. There is a recommendation for Sage 50 that you should have up to a maximum of 20,000 product and service records. Now, if you need to check that, you're just within your software, you would just go to help and about, and in the records section, it will say product records. It'll tell you how many you actually have. Also tell you how many are active. But it's the just product records, the top line of the two there, that's the one in question. But you can have up to 20, well, I say up to 20,000. You can have more than that. There's not a hard limit on that at all. Or don't think if you have reached that it's not just going to stop. It will just continue on as normal. Now, the benefit of removing all the transactions and records that you no longer need from your live set of data is that it helps to ensure that your software runs as efficiently as possible. So you obviously logically, the less data that you have, the more efficiently it's going to run. So when you're keying in information, selecting records from drop downs and things like that, processing will be quicker. Reporting should be that bit faster because it's got less data to sort of go through. When you check your data, it's going to take less time because there's less information there. Your backups are going to be quicker to take, but also they're going to be that much smaller because there's less information to back up. But the key is it is optional. Yes, there are benefits, but it's optional. Don't think that you have to do it. Right, now we're going to start with manually deleting records. Now, there are 3 different product record types in CH50. The first one is a stock item. Obviously, it records stock levels. So it would have an activity. It would record transactions, movements in and movements out, all driven by different transactions. So if you enter an invoice or a sales order or credit note, all those will have an impact and it will record that against the activity of the record. You have a non-stock item, which doesn't record any activity. You've got it flagged as a non-stock because you don't want to record that. You don't want to record any stock levels. Service items. Now they're available in CH50 accounts professional only, but again, they don't record any activity, so no movement in or out. Now, generally for non-stock and service items, you tend to find you can usually just delete those. So it's just a case of highlighting them and then using the delete option. So we'll quickly switch across to my screen. I'll share that. And we'll run through a quick demo of manually deleting something. So we just pop into products and services. Just to quickly show you what it looks like, if we go to a product record, so I'll just double click the first one on my list. This is where you've got the item type at the top. It tells you it's going to say stock item, or you might have others as well. I should have a one on here, so I will have a non-stock item. I've just called it non-stock item to help. So it says non-stock in the item type. And again, if you are on the professional level of the software, you can also have a service item. Now, a non-stock and a service item, in all intents and purposes, they're pretty much the same in CH50. Now, as far as deleting records are concerned, it doesn't matter whether it's a non-stock, a stock, or a service item. They've still got to meet the same sort of criteria. But as I say, you tend not to come up against that criteria when it's a non-stock or a service record that you're trying to get rid of. Now, if I just highlight one, for instance, we'll choose the non-stock item. We can just, with it highlighted, we can click delete, and then it'll just ask you to confirm, are you sure? So yes to that. And as long as it meets the criteria, it will remove it. That one's gone. We'll do the same for this service record. So we'll highlight it, click delete, yes to that prompt, and again, it's gone. You can obviously select multiple records. So if I was to just highlight these, all say quantity in stock is 0. So we can sort of ignore the fact that it's stock levels because that's not relevant at that point because they're all 0. So we've got multiple records selected, and we can then just try and click delete. So are you sure you wish to delete the selected records? We click yes, and it tells me not all of the ones that I've selected could be deleted. It gives me that list of reasons, and we're going to come into that in a bit more detail a little bit later on. But I suppose the obvious ones to watch out for is it's got to have a quantity in stock of 0, and they must have 0 transactions as well. So if there's anything on the activity, so we'll just pick on this one, if there's anything on the activity on this screen, you can see we've got some transactions here. So because those transactions exist, a bit like if you attended the Clear Audit Trail session and you then look to get rid of customers or suppliers, nominal or bank records, if they've got activity on them, you'll not be able to delete them. So products are the same with any activity on there. You've got to get rid of that if you want to delete it. Otherwise, you need to look at maybe the alternatives. But any that did meet that criteria, I don't think any of them did there, but if any did, they would have just been deleted. The ones that weren't in a position to be deleted, obviously they are still on the list itself. Now this one here, one at the top here, it's a stock item. Tells me there's nothing in stock. So if I just highlight that one, have a look at the activity, and you can see we got 3 transactions on there. So we got an AI, so an adjustment in of 2, and then we've got 2 goods out transactions using a quantity 1 of each. So 2 in and 2 out, so nothing in stock. But again, I'd be in a position where I can't just highlight that one and delete it. Get that full list of reasons again, so it won't let me. So what we've got to look at and what we've got to use is the clear stock transactions option. So this is available in all levels of the software. It's a nice, easy one to run through. It's a bit like the clear audit trail option, where you were removing transactions from the transactions list. So you'd access the clear stock transactions option by going to Tools, Period End, Clear Stock. Now the difference between this option and the clear audit trail is that with this one, you can then choose the records that you want to clear transactions from. Whereas when you were clearing audit trail, it was you would specify a date and then it would clear all transactions from all records as long as it meets the criteria. It didn't just look at specific customers or specific suppliers. It was just across the board. Whereas this option, you can either choose to clear the transactions from all records up to a certain date, or you can select certain records. Now you will be prompted to back up as part of this process. They'll not let you continue unless you do take a backup. So let's have a quick look at that. I will go back to my screen and share my desktop. So if we go to Tools at the top, Period End, and then we've got the option Clear Stock and then Delete Stock. So Clear Stock is for the transactions, Delete Stock off is for the records. Now it actually doesn't matter which one of these you choose, it actually opens the same screen. And then you've got the choice of the 2 options down the side. So it's clear stock transactions that we want to look at first. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to the end of 2025. We'll just go back a little bit. Now again, another difference between this and the clear audit trail option is that clear audit trail would not let you clear your transactions for a date within or after your current financial year. It always has to be prior to the start of your current financial year. That's a little bit different on this one. So again, we've got that option. Do you want to do it for all of the records that you've got listed, or do you only want to do it for some of them? If you go for some, it'll bring up your window and you can go down and make your selection. So I'll just choose that one at the beginning. What I'll also do, I'll go down and I'll select these other ones as well. Do these other ones. So I'm just going to do a few of them that had nothing in stock. Obviously, they have activity. And we'll just OK that. So we've chosen this option, made our selection, and now we've entered our date as well. So all we do is we click Clear Stock. As I say, it forces us to take a backup. So you want to make sure you back up your data files. Does a file name? Obviously, you can change that if you want to, whatever you want to call it. Give it some sort of meaning, and then choose your location as well. So I'm just going to pop mine on the desktop. So easy to find if I need it. I'll just OK that. So it takes that backup, it tells me it's been successful. Really quick in my example, because it's a tiny set of data that we're using today. And tells me that then the clear stock is finished. Now, for yours, if you've got a big set of data, maybe you've got thousands and thousands of records and maybe loads you record stock levels against. So that might take a little while to run through. If it does, just let it run. It'll show you a progress bar, and you just let that run through. Anyway, it's finished online because it's really quick, and that's it done. Now, if I just close out for the time being, we go back to products and services. Nothing really changes at that point. Now, I'll highlight a couple of records, let's highlight these, and then we go back to try and manually delete it. Tells me still at least one reason why maybe you couldn't get rid of all that information. But some of them have now disappeared. So we've still got some on that list. So it's got rid of some, but the ones that didn't meet that criteria, they are still listed. Now, once you've cleared your transactions, and this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it for all of them. I'm just going to run through that wizard again, just to try and familiarize you with it. So it's tools, period end, clear stock. I'm just going to do it exactly at the same date. So 31st of the 12th, 2025. And we're going to do all records this time. So we'll clear stock. Again, it prompted to take that back up. Just accept that criteria. Tells me it's been successful. And also that the clear stock, I've run it again. And again, it's finished. That's it done. Again, we could go back and we could try and manually delete records. But what I'm going to do is, just to save myself a little bit of time, I'm going to go into Tools, Period End, and this time I'm going to use the Delete Stock option. If we click that, just takes us onto the second tab of that wizard that appeared before. So we've already done this one. So we want to now look at deleting stock records. Now, what this will do, rather than you trying to make your selection and say, I want you to get rid of this, it will do a quick scan. And it will say, right. So you're forced to back up one more time. But it runs through that and it comes back and it tells me, right, these are the ones that meet the criteria, so you can get rid of them if you want to. Now, if it was everything, bearing in mind you might have a list of hundreds or thousands at this stage. If you just wanted to get rid of everything, you could just click swap. It would highlight it. Then you would click OK. You may click swap to highlight everything and then go down and say, well, actually, I don't want to get rid of that one. I'll take the highlight off. You can continue taking highlights off. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to highlight everything. We'll OK that. So I know it's going to get rid of the 4 that are listed because it's done that scan, and it tells me that you're able to delete these if you want. So we just OK that. Again, that's it done. Go back to products and services. We've gone from having, I think we started with about 96, 98, 96, I can't remember now. But we're now down to 89 records. Right. So that's the basics of clearing your stock transactions and clearing or deleting records that meet the criteria. However, we did get that message a few times there. So the message that says, I'll just bring that one back up for you so you can see it. So this is the message that appears on the screen when I'm in a position, or when I'm in a position where I can't delete something. So it tells me not all of the records selected could be deleted, and these are the possible reasons. So there's 5 of them. So items still in stock, applies to stock items only. So you're going to check that by, I suppose, having a look at the activity. Is there anything there? Reason 2, stock codes still have transactions. So again, it means there's still activity there. But items still in stock would mean that you're going to have at least one transaction there. And it just means that you've got something in stock. Whereas option 2, you might think, well, I've got nothing in stock, so quantity in stock is 0. But actually, you might have, let's say you've got an adjustment in of 10, and you have a few adjustments out of using that 10. So you've got nothing in stock. You've had as much coming in as going out. So essentially, that movement in stock, they cancel each other out. But those transactions still exist, so you're not going to be able to get rid of them. Now, the next three relate to, and will only be applicable if you're on the professional level of the software. Option 3 refers to the bill of materials option. Now, if you've not come across a bill of materials before, quite commonly used where you manufacture goods or you build the goods and you use your other products as components. Just say let's say you sell food hammers. You might have the individual food items as individual products and show a quantity in stock. And when you make up a hamper, you would adjust out the individual components. So it would reduce the individual stock items, but it would increase your hamper by 1. Right, so it's essentially that list of subcomponents is what you would term a bill of materials. Now, if a product has a bill of materials, you're not going to be able to remove it. Or if the product is a component of a bill of materials, again, you wouldn't be able to delete it. Might have nothing in stock, might have no activity on it, but it can't have a bill of materials, or it can't be part of a bill of materials. I'm going to run through these in a moment just so you can see. Reason 4 is stock codes have allocations. Now, this relates to sales orders. So if you have a sales order where you've placed that on order essentially, so it's reserved stock, then again, it will not let you get rid of that while it's in that position. And similar for reason number 5, where it's saying the stock code is on order. So that relates to the purchase order process. So if you enter the purchase order, it includes the stock record and it's on order, it would have an on order value. So quite easy to track these down as well. So I'll switch back to my screen and we'll run through a couple of extra examples. Right, so we've covered items having a quantity in stock. Obviously this one won't let me delete that one because it says 1. So if I do try and manually delete it, that message is going to pop up. I know that. If I adjust it out, not that option. If I adjust it out, I'll click on the right option this time, and I'll say quantity of 1. And you'll see in the background, the quantity in stock is now 0. So that for that first item, it meets that requirement. But again, if I try to delete it, it gives me the reasons again. It's not just one, it's not just the specific reason why I can't delete it. It gives me all, it's a standard message and it lists all 5 each time. So I know there's nothing in stock, so it meets that first element. But if we go into it, so you can have a look at the activity, and you can see we've got transactions associated with it. So again, nothing in stock, but I've got activity on it. So there are transactions there. So it will not delete because of option 2. Reason 3 was to do with the bill of materials. So this one has nothing in stock, this item. We'll go into the record and have a look at the activity. You'll see there's nothing there. But again, if I close out and try to delete it, you would expect to get that message, which we do. And it's because, in this instance, you have a quick look, it's got a bill of materials. So it's got some components associated with it. It will not let you delete a record while there's anything on there. Now to remove items, you just click against the item and just press F8 on your keyboard. So if you wanted to empty the bill of materials list completely, just hold down F8 while it deletes them. Be quite quick then. So you can have up to 50 subcomponents. Each subcomponent can have 50 subcomponents as well. So what's that? 50 times 50. And each of those could have 50 subcomponents as well. So you can have loads of components that make up a bill of materials. If you're interested in finding out more about bill of materials, there is a webinar recording on it. I think Abby run that one a while ago now, but it's still on there. You check that out if you are interested. So anyway, if I get rid of this, I'll get rid of that one as well. The only one that's left there now is component 3, product code SC3. So I'll save the changes. So component 1 and 2, that I've surprisingly named component 1 and 2 just to make it nice and easy. I'm hoping they meet that criteria now. So if I try and delete those, no message, they just disappear. This one, component 3, it's still part of the bill of materials of the main assembly item. Try to delete it. I get that message. It's reason 3 in this instance. Now I can check this particular record. I can check that is it part of a bill of materials by going into the bill of materials. And at the bottom, I can see assembly levels is 0, but link level is 1. So that tells me how many times it is used in the bill of materials within Sage. So in this case, it just says it's on one set of bill of materials within a record. Now, if you need to track that, if you can't track it down at all, there is a report within Sage called the Reverse Product Explosion Report. The idea of a product explosion is it will list the main product and all the subcomponents, quantities needed, etc. The reverse product explosion will essentially list, say, component 3, and then it would list the products where it's part of the bill of materials. So it does it in reverse. So it's a good way of tracking it down if needed. However, I know it's just part of the bill of materials of this item. So back into the bill of materials, we'll highlight it, F8 to remove or discard that line, save the changes, and then hopefully we'll be able to get rid of both of these. So again, I'll just highlight them, click delete at the top just to get rid of them, and that's them gone. Reason 4 was stock code has allocations. So by that, if we go into this product record, the allocated box at the bottom, it tells me it's 1. So it would have to be 0 to allow me to delete the product record. Now, if I want to see what it's allocated against, I just click the little plus sign and it will give me a list of the sales orders themselves. Quite commonly what we find is that people have got, it might be an old product, but also it might be linked to an old sales order that actually you've not done anything else with, just sat there. But the allocation still exists. So it's number 31. Now, what I can do is I can go to sales orders. I can find number 31 and I could do a number of things. One is I could delete the sales order. So I no longer needed it. I could just click delete at the top. Or I can go into amend allocations at the top. And I could change the value to 0. Or probably the easiest thing to do is just take it off order. If you've got a number of items there, you might think, well, actually, I'll just cancel it or unallocate the stock. So we'll just OK that one, close it. And if we go back to products and services, into the same item, we'll find that the allocated is now 0. So as long as it meets the rest of the criteria, which if I'm following my notes correctly, it does. We can highlight it, click delete, yes to that prompt, and it disappears, so it gets deleted. For this item, again, I'm not going to be able to delete it because it's got an on order value. Again, it needs to be 0. But again, you can click that plus sign to see which purchase order it's linked to. So in this case, it will be number 42. Again, I could delete the order. I could take it off order. That would do it as well, which would set that value on the record back to 0. And then, fingers crossed, I should be able to delete that. But those are the reasons that are going to stop you of anything from deleting your records. So just to almost like have a quick recap, in stock needs to be 0. Activity, it needs to be blank. Your bill of materials needs to be nothing listed. Now, remember, this is professional only, this bit. So it needs to be blank, and both the assembly level and the link level at the bottom, again, need to be 0. Allocated needs to be 0, and also on order needs to be 0. If it meets all of that criteria, when you go to delete it, it'll delete that from the list. Now, what about, in my instance, I've got some, and at this point, I'm thinking, oh, I haven't got time to sort of track that down. These ones have got a quantity in stock of 0, but I don't use them anymore. I don't. Maybe you don't want to get rid of them. You want to leave them on there for just so you've got that history if you need it. So again, remember, it's an optional task. So what happens if you don't want to delete them, but maybe what options have you got? Well, if I go back to the slides very quickly. So if I want to keep them on there, but I'm not in a position to be able to delete them, I've got two options. One is I can use the inactive records option, which really popular feature, this one. I can flag the record as being inactive. Now, as long as it meets the criteria to be flagged as inactive, so really for stock records, as long as there's nothing in stock, you'll be able to flag it. I could also apply a filter as well. Inactive records, probably the best option of the two, but you can apply a filter. Then it will only display those that meet the specific criteria. Now, sometimes you can think of criteria as in both ways. You think, well, it hides the records that I don't want to see. But the other way of thinking it is it only displays the ones that you do want to see. So you might be trying to run a report on specific records, so you can apply a filter, for instance. But let's quickly show you both options in the software. So we'll go back to my screen one last time. And I'll just get rid of the highlight from a couple of these. In fact, I'll do it for most of the records. We'll just use this one, this CAS 002. If I go into the record for this one, and we've got this little inactive checkbox here. Tick it and click Save. It's telling me this one, it can't be marked as inactive. So again, there's still criteria there. This one's specific this time. It's telling me it's part of a bill of materials. Let's try a different one. Let's go back to this top one. So we'll just tick the box, click Save. Oh, I've still got the purchase order on there. So let me just knock that one off. So it was order 42. I'll go to purchase orders, 42. I'll just delete the order just to make things a little bit quicker. So that record That was the only thing that was preventing me earlier from deleting it. But let's say I didn't want to get rid of it. I want to leave it on there. I want to keep the activity on there as well. So we can go into it. We can tick the box, say, right, this one's inactive, and then we save it. And what that does in the inactive column, it puts a Y to say, right, it's now inactive. Now you can do that against a number of records. I could do it where I've got this batch changes option. So if I click swap to highlight everything, and I go into batch changes, now batch changes you don't have if you're on the essentials level, or standard and professional, you will have this available. So I'm just going to go for it and say, right, anything on my list, if it can be flagged as being inactive, I want you to do it. So yes to that prompt. Tells me not all products could be set as being inactive, because obviously quite a few of them have quantity in stock. Let's clear that. Looks like none of the others had that, so they must have other reasons. But you might we've got two. Sorry, we've got two now flagged as inactive. So these ones at the top, they're flagged as inactive. If I want to hide them, I can just do that. Take the little tick out of this checkbox at the top corner, include inactive. This feature is available to customers, suppliers, for nominal codes, bank accounts, and obviously products and services. You can flag them. They're still there in the background, but they are hidden. If you want them back, you just tick the box. It'll display them. If you want to start using it again, it's going into the record, tick out the box, save the record, it's active again. So that's a good alternative. Now, if you're in a position where you can see we've got loads of records that have a zero quantity in stock, and you think, well, I can't delete it. For whatever reason, I can't flag it as being inactive. Just again, doesn't meet the criteria. But what I could do is I could apply a filter. Just clear that, so you can see me building the filter. So at the moment, we've got in the background, it tells us at the top there, we've got 84 records. And what I'm going to try and do is hide the ones that have a zero value. So we're going to do where, and we'll just scroll down the list to quantity in stock. Now, if I wanted to, I could go for quantities equal to 0. And if I apply that, what I've got is I've got all of the product records listed that have nothing in stock. These are the ones I want to hide. So back to the filter, and I'll do is not equal to 0. You could as well, some of you might be thinking, well, why don't you just do is greater than 0? In Sage 50, you can actually enable an option within your software to say allow negative stock, meaning that you could essentially sell stock before you've even got that in stock. So it depends. It depends on your sort of setup. But a filter something along these lines where quantity in stock is not equal to 0, or I'll do is greater than 0. Click apply, and anything that's got nothing in stock is just hidden from that list. So it's a good alternative to getting rid of records. Actually deleting from the system. Now, I've not had any questions on the session so far, so if you have got any, do get them submitted. I'll quickly go back to the slides. We'll just bring us to the end of the demo. So hopefully it's given you a little bit of insight into deleting those, or clearing out the stock transactions and deleting the records. But any questions, if you want to pop them in there now, I'll pick them up before we disappear. If anyone wants a copy of today's slides, those are available to download as well. Loads of webinars coming up. Do take a look. You'll receive your follow-up email in around about an hour's time. That will include a link to our registration page. And just let me bring up my final slide. So as normal. Many thanks for coming along. I'm going to hang around for another minute or two just to see if any questions do come through. But it does bring us to the end of the webinar. So many thanks for coming along. I hope you enjoyed it. It's obviously helped develop your knowledge a little bit more. Your little survey pop up as you leave. If you take a minute to complete that, it's the same survey that we always present you with. So any thoughts, ideas that you want to share with us, pop it on there. And watch out for your follow-up email. We'll be with you in round about an hour's time. So take a good look, have a look at the registration page, see if there's any sessions that might interest you. And if there are, get yourself registered. They're all free to attend. Right, still no outstanding questions. So what we'll do is, I think we're ready just to end the webinar just at that point. So we'll give you a few minutes back from the advertised duration, and hopefully we'll see you on some other webinars very soon. Many thanks.